Okay, so we've finished off the light green dry brushing, just to pick out some of the details on that. And as I said, we're just going to pick out those leather straps on his helmet. I'm going to do that the easy way. So we're going to take a little light brown and just go across in brown, like that, picking out the area where the strap is. He says, trying to find it. There we go. That. I'll leave the chin strap bit actually a green colour. I think that's how it was. And there's another strap around the back of the helmet there. We'll do the same. So yes, we're going to do that light brown. And instead of doing dark brown with light brown edges, which is tricky, we're going to do light brown and then dark brown in the middle, which is a lot easier. And while we're here, I might just take a slightly darker colour. Let's mix that with a little brown. And just do a little shading around the straps on his medical pack there. Well, let's do that a little bit watery and just run it in the edges. Alright, just gives a bit of texture to that. And now let's take our dark brown and just run that into the edges of that strap. Top the dark brown area up a bit more on the palette. And yes, we're just going to go very carefully in the middle. Simply a straight line, making sure to leave some of the light brown either side, and that's got us the right sort of effect there. That'll do nicely there. Right, so I think now we can get a bit of metallic on him, and he's pretty much good to go. Now, of course, you could apply a wash at the end just to pick out any details. You might want to wash around areas of the pouches. That might be quite good. A light brown wash will do. And maybe help out with the green as well. And on the skin areas. Let's put the metal on and then we'll see how we're getting on. So we're going to just go with a good standard silver. For this, or any gunmetal colour will do. Just a little bit on the palette. And as always, best thing for metals is to go on top of black. Just picks the metal out a little bit better. So it's going to do the a little dry brushing on the edge of the ammunition clip here. We'll do that fully silver. And almost dry brush over that bit there. And that bit there. That's a metal bit there as well. Just picking out the areas for detailing and around the trigger guard as well. Now, what we might do is we might put a little bit of a dark wash over that just to pick that out and just shade it a bit. And let's just get ourselves some gold, just for the brass buckles on his equipment. So again, any gold will do. This one at the moment is a little bit on the watery side. Needs a little bit of mixing together. There we go, that's better. Just dab it off on the cloth. We'll apply that almost neat to the buckles. see they're just around the sides here, so this is just going to have that on, down across the buckles here. And there, the water bottle on top of the entrenching tool, a couple of pouches at the front as well. Oh, that will just about do it. There we go. Just gives you an impression of some buckles ready to go. Right, get a little more of the metal. Actually, I'm just going to do the pins on the grenade. You can just see them underneath here, so we'll just do a little dry brush of those on that. Just remember, when the pin is pulled, Mr. Grenade is no longer our friend. Right, now we can also just give a little bit of a wash to that, so I might just put a little bit of our famous black wash onto that. Browns will work as well, but black usually works better on silvery metallics, and brown usually works better on browns, tans, and greens as well. This is the famous Nuln oil. We just wash that onto there, and around there, and around there. Leave that to dry, and that will give us a nice little bit of slightly more gunmetal look to some of the metal parts. And we put a little bit just around the cuff, just to make a nice little colour block between jacket and hand, and just between hand and rifle. There we are, that's a little bit neater. Right, I think our next stage might well be final details and a little bit on the base. Okay, so the black wash is pretty much dry. We're going to use this brown wash, the famous Agrax Earthshade. And what we're going to do with this is just put a little bit, basically where any colours join. So we're going to put a little bit under the edge of its boot, and I'm going to put some a little bit under the edge of the webbing here and here, just to give a little bit of definition there. Just help that just a tiny bit. There we go. And we're going to put a little bit on the brown of the gun around his hand, and just in where the rifle hits his tunic, and then we'll put a little bit around the neck as well, and where the collar fits, just to give it a little bit more shade and definition around there. Now I'm going to put some on around that those straps that we found, and around the edge of the medical kit attached to his scrim, and in here as well, just around that pouch and around the whipping straps, just underneath the collar of his jacket. And you could give it a little bit just across the eyeballs as well, just where the helmet and the skin meet. Let's put a little bit in the mouth there. Not too much, just enough. That's the key with this. Put some around the, if you say, the cuffs of his tunic, just where it joins the hand, and a bit on the entrenching tool as well. Just pick out that brown. With this stage, you can sort of run this around any gaps you wanted. So let's put a little bit between those pouches there. Just run that over there a little. It gets a bad press as Agrax, but it's really pretty good at doing most things. Don't go overboard with it, don't slap it on everywhere. Just use it as a sort of pin wash almost. rather than just piling it on over everything. Put a bit underneath, just a shade onto the armpits there. There we go. I think that just gives a little bit more definition to his shading and highlighting. Right, and with that, I think we can probably do a bit on the base and have him nearly finished off. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the dry brush that we used before. This time we've cleaned it all off. And we're going to use a lighter tan, because obviously our base is still the same spray that we use, the same trench brown. So what we're going to use a little bit of this, a lighter, in this case Karak Stone, so it's a lighter tan colour. This is actually what we use as the highlight for the tunic. We're just going to dry brush this onto the sand base that we've already put here, so just bring that definition and that texture out a little more. And then what we're going to do last of all is just put a few blobs of static grass onto that, and that should basically give us a good summery Normandy look. And again, some of it's gone on the boots there, not really bothered about that. It's got dusty whilst storming ashore on D-Day, or in this case we'll be dropping out the sky on the very early morning of D-Day. And then we'll just attach some static grass to that with a couple of blobs of PVA glue. What we may do, once we've done that, is just tidy up the rim of the base with, actually do that now, with a little bit of Steel Legion Drab, which is one of our favourite basing colours. Good. Sounded very, very similar to Trench Brown in many ways, so we'll just do the edge of the base in that to neaten up where the dry brushing on the base has gone in. And that should just blend them into the tabletop a little bit better. Neatened and tidies, and now we're just ready for a little static grass, and he's ready to go.